Let's start the presentation and the discussion. So the idea of today, let me share my screen first, is really to have this conversation between us. So this means that you can intervene on this discussion, and you have the possibility to ask questions. To do so, we will use the chat. In this chat, you are asked to say hand, to write hand, and from that, we will open your micro, and you will be able to intervene in the discussion. So that's really the idea of today, to have a discussion, not really presentation and question, but that's really an exchange that we are looking for. So the subject is around the use of Earth observation to promote the sustainable marine activity and the blue economy. And the way we are going to manage it, it's really through this. So there will be a first presentation by Laurence. I have some element to share if we can do it. So that's the welcome. And of course, during this discussion, we really need you. So that's the French way of saying. So it's writing as I can pronounce it, but that's the translation. We really need you in this discussion, and we need the action and your idea and to share it with you, and in order to be sure that we can build on that and for the benefit of the EO community within this geoplenary, virtual but plenary at all. So I'm stop sharing. Laurence, the floor is yours. If you can start sharing your screen and show your slides, and we will go on for the presentation. My video and stop my mic.
Sorry. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I would like to talk to you about marine data, because before interacting with users, we need data, and I'm going to tell you a bit about the context of marine data everywhere in the world, and focus more on one example, which is the example I know the best, which is the Copernicus Marine Service. So again, my name is Laurence Crosnier. I'm working in France at Mercator Ocean International, and I'm the head of the marketing and communication team. So the outline of this talk, I mean, this is going to be a brief talk, because then we would like to engage with the discussion. I'm going to tell you a bit about the open and free marine data, which are available for everyone, how this data can answer your needs, and I'm going to provide with examples of how the Copernicus Marine Service is answering some of the needs of the private and public sector. First, some words about the marine data. So there are several databases which are delivering marine products for all the sectors. Some of them are coming from the GEOS portal and the GeoBlue Planet community. There are also initiatives from the European Commission through the Copernicus program and the Copernicus Marine Service. There is also CDataNet and eModNet initiatives, for example, and there are some other national initiative from France in IFREMER, from the UK at CMWF, for example, or the US with PODAC, or Australian with XIRO. And there are many, many more databases. I mean, this is really not an exhaustive list here, but just a slide of context to tell you that there are many ocean data, marine data available all over the world. So which which ocean data are being delivered. So the main parameter, the main essential variables are the ocean currents, the temperature, the salinity, the sea level. There are some sea ice information as well, wind, waves. There are also some ocean color information with transparency, turbidity, and reflectancies. And there is also the biogeochemistry with dissolved oxygen, primary production, phyto and phytoplankton, nutrients, and so on. And this data is available today, but it's also available in the past for the last 25 years. And some of the models are also allowing to provide with forecast from 5 to 10 day forecast of the temperature and salinity. So this is what is available for the private sector and for the public sector. This data is coming from 3 sources. It's coming from satellite, of course. The satellite are observing the surface of the ocean. They are observing it since the last 25 years up to today. There is no forecast available with satellite observation. We also have in situ observation, which are taken by on-site sensors. This data is covering the top 2,000 meter from the surface up to 2,000 meter depths. There is data since the early 90s from the in-situ sensor up to today, no forecast again available. And this in-situ observation, they are not gridded, meaning that the observation available are sparse and or on several points, but not everywhere in the ocean. And then you have ocean models, which are based on mathematical equation. They can provide with a 3D information in the ocean from the surface to the bottom, from the last 25 years up to 5 to 10 day forecast. And they really provide with the most complete observation of the ocean. And they are also using methodologies which are data constrained. So the model results is constrained by the observations through data assimilation techniques, meaning that the ocean model are really close to the observation from satellite and from the in-situ. So now, how can this data can answer your needs? So, I mean, this is here a few examples, but for example, if you are in the renewable marine energy business, for example, or in the aquaculture business, those marine data can provide you with an evaluation of the resources, the ocean resources. It could be the tidal resources, the tidal energy, the tidal waves, also the wave energy, the heat, which is in the ocean, the heat content, the temperature, the ocean currents, the salinity, and so on. So there is, so this data is really fit for purpose in order to provide you with such an evaluation of the resources. It also can help you with performance validation and technology certification, because in some cases, depending on the business you're running, you are going to have to go through certification. Of course, it can allow you to evaluate the meteorological and ocean conditions. We call that the met ocean condition for your operations at sea. It can allows you to evaluate the constraints applied on the machines you have at sea, the sea exposed machine. And of course, you can get some environmental impact assessment around your farm, for example, or your aquaculture nets and so on. So those are a few examples of how you can use the marine data within your business. So let's see, for example, the case of a renewable marine energy farm. So within the life cycle of this farm, which is about 30 years, there are many steps where ocean data can help you From the start, for example, you can have you can evaluate the resources and decide whether you want to use a wind farm or a wave farm or a farm using the heat within the ocean in order to produce electricity and so on. And when you are going to start the operation, you are going to be able to use such data to secure the operation at sea you are going to perform. So those are examples of how the data can be useful for your company. And so now let's get into one example with the Copernicus Marine Service. So the Copernicus is an EU-funded program which is managed by the European Commission and the European member states. It has several components, and my company, Mercator Ocean, is in charge, has been entrusted by the European Commission in order to deliver and implement the Copernicus Marine Service. So this service is available online through the URL marine.copernicus.eu. It's a single portal with all the marine products. There is about 180 marine products. All the data is available for free. You need to register, and then all the data is available for free. It's been sustained in the long term, and it is user driven. So we have about 25,000 users coming from all around the world. 50% of our users are from the private sector and the other 50% from the public sector. We provide with data specifically on the European basins, but also on the global ocean. So we have specific products for the Med Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the Baltic Sea, the Arctic Ocean, the Atlantic North and South Shelf Coast, and the Black Sea, but we also have data for the global ocean, and we have parameters covering the blue ocean, meaning the physical ocean, that could be temperature, salinity, and ocean currents. The white ocean, so we have data about the sea ice in the Arctic and the Antarctic as well. And we also have the green ocean with biogeochemical data with, for example, plankton or dissolved oxygen. And this data is being used by many communities, as I was saying, and we have sorted them in 10 markets, which are going from the polar environment monitoring, the marine conservations and policies, the science and climate communities. I mean, a lot of scientists are using this data as well. The energy sector, the water quality sector, and so on. I mean, the coastal monitoring, the navigation, the safety and disaster, and the aquaculture marine food sector. So all our users are coming from those 10 sectors. And for example, for the energy sector, we provide them with the ocean currents, with the wave data, the sea level data, the salinity and the temperature data. And this data can be really useful all along the life of renewable marine energy farm, for example. We have many use cases online. Well, what is a use case? A use case is a user testimony. So we have testimonies from our users from all the sectors I was telling you about, and this is really giving you an example of what can be done with such data. And this can really create motivation for you then to use the data when you read those use cases. So please check those use cases online. We have about 200 of them. And one of them, for example, is in the marine navigation sector. So there is strong constraints in the navigation sector around the ship routing. So they need to save fuel, to reduce the CO2 emissions, and to reduce the risk, the navigation risk as well. So the data from the Copernicus Marine Service, and especially the ocean currents, the waves, and the sea ice parameter can be used as input condition for the ship routing softwares. So, and the sea ice data as well is really helping the maritime shipping companies to find the safest navigation routes through the sea ice covered areas. So this is a short example of how you could use the data. In the case of safety and disaster as well, we provide with forecasts. So those forecasts help to follow the drift of oil spills, for example. They also allow to plan for, to better plan for emergency responses in case of an oil spill or in case of a search and rescue. And they allow to find the source in a backward mode, either the source of pollution or the source of oil spill, and identify the responsible of this pollution. So we also perform with online trainings. Actually today, we have training dedicated for the North Wales Shelf, the Atlantic North Wales Shelf area. So this is this afternoon. If you want to log in, you're really welcome. So all those events and training are free of charge for all participants. And we also have more detailed use cases. So it's really a use case as the one I showed you before, but really more in depth, really explaining you how the data is being used and for which purpose. We also have, sorry. We also have a data visualization tool, which is really convenient for you to check and really visualize the data. So you can really span all the catalog and really look at all the data at the surface or at depth from the last 25 years up to 5 to 10 day forecast, and really see whether this data or this other one data is suitable for your needs. We also collect user feedbacks because also the service is really user driven. We really want this data to be useful for you. So we've been collecting user feedback since the beginning through various channels, like the user support, the service desk, for example, through questionnaires, through workshops, through the champion user advisory group that we have set up. And we are classifying those feedbacks, and we really feed our catalog and our service with those feedback in order to improve it. And that's it for me. Thank you very much. And I hope we are going to be able to discuss that in a minute.
Thank you, Laurence. That was a first introduction. So I just recall the way of doing. If you want to ask or to make an intervention, please right hand and we will open your micro and then you can express yourself. So first of all, do you have any question to Laurence? Don't see any message. Yeah, I have the first one, Laurence, for you about the number of users you show. How many of them are a private sector company?
So about 50% actually of the users are coming from the private sector. And I mean, I can come back to the slide, but so the other 50% is from the public sector. And by public sector, we mean, let me check again, we mean universities and public sector. So public sector, 26%, universities, 20%, and then we have foundations and associations, which is about 1%. But it's really 50-50 between public and private sector. Okay, great.
So this means that there is business also behind that. So I have a question for the attendees. I will be very happy to go back to the subject, to the title of what we are discussing today, which is the link with Earth observation and what it's help to promote how Earth observation, is used to promote the activity in the marine area. So, do one of you want to share his point of view in the fact that if he is using Earth observation, and what does EO change in his business or in his daily activity? So if you want to express yourself on this subject, it will be good to have a message. So Mamuka, so if you can, so I recall you just say hand and you can express yourself through the micro. So can you unmute Mamuka, please? So the question was, so Kirian, sorry, you don't have any micro, okay.
Okay. The question is about DataCube.
DataCube, and are you using that in the different services that are available?
Yeah, sure. I mean, by DataCube, we mean that the data is geo-reference. It's Inspire compliant, so it's OGC compliant. It has the right metadata and the correct web map service, WMS services, and so on. So yeah, all the Copernicus, most of the Copernicus marine service data, I should say, it's not 100%, but 99% of our data is on the DataCube. And you can really use this data through different services such as download FTP service. You can extract the data as well through a direct get file or a subsetter component. But we also have Python code in order to download the data. You can use also, as I was saying, WMS services in order to download the data. And very soon, before the end of the year, we are going to have Open Lab facility. So all those services which are plugged on top of the data, they are available thanks to the fact that the data is being provided within a DataCube. So with the right format, the right metadata, which is Inspire compliant.
Okay, can you unmute Derek Kaiser, the Stopper, please? Yeah, the question. Hi, Derek. The floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Do you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you very much for the presentation. I was interested about actually the specific data sets that are available, specifically in the water quality. I saw that you have transparency, you have nutrition, plankton. It's really to understand actually how we can get a better understanding of the quality of biodiversity, and how this is evolving over time. So what I'm interested in is about the quality of this specific water quality and then how it evolves over time. Is actually a weekly, monthly, yearly evolutions, just to understand actually how that data set evolves and what type of quality it has. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Derek. Actually, I'm going to answer in a very generic way because I'm not a specialist, but you can ask any question to our service desk actually. But so we have several products. We have, as I was saying, we have products coming from satellite observation, from in-situ observation, and from models. So the data coming from satellites is available since the last 25 years and is being updated daily. So every day you have a new satellite observation for the transparency, for example. But we also provide monthly mean files, monthly averages, which are calculated using those daily observations. And the The horizontal resolutions of those products ranges from 1 to 20 kilometers, if I remember well. So we don't have a very, very high resolution with satellite data yet. Very soon in early 2021, we are going to have new water quality products from Sentinel-2 satellite, which is going to allow us to provide with much higher resolution water quality samples, but only along the coast in Europe. It's not going to be a global product, but only along the European coast. And then we also have models which provide information not only at the surface, like satellites, but also at depths. And those products are also updated every day, and they provide data from the last 25 years up to 5 to 10 day forecast. So you really have a daily updated information about the water quality with satellites or with the ocean models as well.
Okay, thanks, Laurence. But the feedback so the idea that came just back from the discussion is the fact that we are talking about user needs. So there is a feedback also from Emma, and we will come back to Emma now. But I have also this question to the audience. What is your experience of including the user need into the development of service of the use of Earth observation? So Emma, I have a question around user. So if you can take the micro, Emma.
Sure. G'day from Australia. It's lovely to hear all about this important platform. It seems like it has great benefit across Europe and also more globally. Small island states can be regarded as big oceanic states. So I'm quite interested doing some work with the Pacific Islands, whether there's many products developed for the Pacific Islands, or whether you had any statistics on users in the Asia-Oceania area?
We can actually. I'm not going to be able to answer you straight away, but we can sort out the users per country. So I could be able to provide you with the number of users in such small islands, but I don't have the numbers today. But this is something I could.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful, because I'm one of the co-leads for the Pacific Island Advisory Group within GEO, and we're looking at all the different products and services that are available through GEO that could be helping the Pacific with their needs. And it would be good to know what uptake there is so far of your services.
Yeah. Yeah, actually we are, for example, with the sea level rise, which are affecting more specifically the small islands in the Pacific, we have a dedicated map product which is providing with the sea level rise. It's a geographical world map of the sea level rise. I mean, I could share it with you. It is really showing that sea level is increasing more around the Pacific Islands than anywhere else in the world. So this is really a threat for those islands. Yeah, if I have 1 minute, I can share it with you.
Yeah. Once you are looking to this, Emma, may I ask you how in your activity around the Pacific Island you are taking into account the user needs of the people trying to use Earth observation for their different business?
Sure. So, sorry, my boss was just waving at me. Yes. So I've only been working with the people from the Pacific Islands for a very short time, but what I have noticed and what they have said is they are overwhelmed, they are swamped with the international community wanting to help them and everyone delivering various products to them. The challenge, of course, is that ensuring co-design and fit for purpose, and that it's a priority for them. So what we're doing is through the Secretariat of the Pacific Community, doing an Earth observations needs assessment for the Pacific. So I'm very happy to talk offline a little bit more about this, but also if anyone is interested in this, they can reach out to us via the Geo Secretariat and we can discuss a bit more.
Thanks, Emma. So, Laurence?
Yeah, so this is very quickly the regional mean sea level trends. This is an average from 1993 up to 2019. And you can see the scale here from minus 10 millimeter per year up to 10 in red, in bright red, up to 10 millimeter per year. And you can really see that the islands which are located here in the South Pacific are really threatened by sea level rise, much more than islands which would be located in the equatorial Pacific or equatorial Atlantic, for example. So this is really an example of what we as Copernicus Marine Service, we provide. And this data, this information can be used by anyone in the world for free, either as a map or either as a data itself, because we deliver the NetCDF files and the files which are behind those maps as well.
Okay, thanks. There is a new question from Mamuka. So you said that you don't have any micro. So the question is there a way to integrate seaworld marine data with coastal data on landward sites, sorry. So that's really the border problem of the ocean and the coastline.
Yeah, so there is, this is really what we need to work on in the coming years, the coastal area, because the data we provide yet is not very high resolution and does not necessarily encompass all the coastal structures and the coastal processes within the ocean. So this is work in progress, and we are really we really need to improve the data and the resolution of the data we provide, so that it can really plug with what is happening on the land side, and we need to take more into account what's coming from the rivers and so on. So when you're asking, is there a way to integrate? I mean, there are some development, for example, of coastal models which are using boundary condition either from the ocean and from the land as well. So such very high resolution coastal models are currently being developed, but we do not deliver them yet. And we are currently working with all the European member states actually, and with the Copernicus Land Service in order to improve the coastal service. So this is a very vague answer, but this is really work in progress in order to better encompass and better monitor what's happening along the coast.
Okay. I think we have 5 more minutes before the end of the session. Any question on the chat or raising hand? So if not, I will share with you some ideas, because we prepared some material and I want to share it with you. I'm working on a project called eShape, which is called EuroGeo Showcase Application Powered by Europe. So the idea of this project is really to develop operational services with and for the users. So I'm not going to present anything about the project. I just want to explain you some ideas we had in order to improve the use of self-observation within this project for Geo. It's something which is supporting EuroGeo. So this means by this field, we are also promoting the activity within Geo and with all the focus of Geo beside. So just going really fast, we have 7 showcases. One is water, talking about marine energy, or about marine activity, and also we have marine energy, wind energy, on renewable energy aspect. So 27 pilot, 54 partners, and that's a 4-year grade. So I go straight to the point I'd like to show you, but that's the link if you want to know more about this project. Just connect to that and have a look to what we are doing. So in the reflection we had preparing this session, leveraging Earth observation for coastal for marine energy activity, for marine activity, sorry, we had the idea that having a direct link with the user is key. And so it's why we have set up an help desk in our project. And I think in the different exchange we can have with all the user of our data, it's really important to have a kind of help desk or a user connection on a daily basis with somebody that can answer to that. Also, we discussed about accessing the data. So you know about the Geo portal, you have a number that say more than 11,000 data sets available when you just type in ocean. And I was talking about the link with the users, and that was this discussion around the co-design that we engage in our project. So the idea is really to discuss between the application and the engaged user in order to really have a fit for use. And that was the aim of migration, and really something which is for the user and with the user. And we have made a work on co-design, and we will make some of these elements available through Geo, and you can have the possibility of interact and to connect with us. But that's a series of co-design aspects that allow really to have the link, not only in terms of development, but with the users and for the users. Also, on the other thing that we discussed in preparing this session is the fact that the need for the different aspects that lead from the idea to service like the one presented by Laurence is really depending about the level where you are, from the idea, the R&D, the prototype, till the expansion. And so the line there at our here on user, policy, trends, incubation, etc., are from blue, not a lot of action, to red, a lot of action. And that's also to help on your thinking about how we can interact on that and promote the activity and try to put the emphasis on the good phase when it's needed. Webinar is one way of making capacity building. So that's the time of webinar, and due to the COVID situation, so you see many of them. So use case, Laurence presents some of them also, but there are also more in next years, for example, that's also an activity within Geo, and that's all promoting the experience of the user and showing what's happening and what's going on. So that's also EO Cafe, use case, communication, dissemination, and also what is key for the leveraging we are looking for, it's really the evolution of the product and the service. So that's also something important. So the showcase, that's the same idea, thematic champion that allow to show the different things. So also, when you are talking to a development of a service, sustainability and upscaling is really of importance. And there is a series of tools that can be developed for that. And that's some idea of that. So that was to give you some food for thoughts and also to help in the discussion. I'm sorry it was a so short discussion, but I think we are very close to finish. So if you have a short question, do not hesitate. We will be around the rest of the plenary sessions of the Geo Week of the industry track. So if you want to connect by email or by exchanging, you're more than welcome. And I hope that you will enjoy the follow-up. Thank you very much. I think we are close to finish this session. If anyone want to add more, feel free to use the chat on the platform, on the conference platform of this Geo Week. And thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.
I think we can stop the session.